So after a weekend of essentially no action in the world of MMA, at least there was some British boxing on. I think the focus today is going to be the announcement of Bellator Bellator MMA versus Rizin 2, McKee versus Pitbull, set to go down in Japan in the Saitama Super Arena. We only have 3 fights announced so far, but just the fact that it's a crossover event is definitely just worth talking about, I think.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see kind of more of this kind of stuff. It's a cool idea. I last one, I don't think it kind of lived. I don't think they did it much justice, to be honest, in terms of promotion and stuff. But yeah, if we can see more promoters and stuff working together, it's always a good thing for fans.
If you're one of the promotions that is vying to be that number 2 promotion, right? That's
Yeah.
what they're all doing, regardless of whether you think ONE and PFL are above Bellator right now. Doing crossover events like this, merging two, a US based and a Asia based fan bases,
Yeah.
merging them together for events like this is exactly the right thing to do. It's a main event that's 2 names. McKee went to Rizin and beat, was it Satoshi? I think he might have beaten, who's one of the top fighters. Yeah, it was Satoshi, Roberto de Souza. One of the top Rizin fighters over there, and now he's back. He's fighting Patricky Pitbull. The Pitbull name is a brand, like, and Patricky's definitely nowhere near as skilled as Patricio. And Patricio is a good fighter. I don't care what you say. Like, he is a very good fighter, maybe coming to the end of his prime. In fact, he is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Patricky's never been quite the same caliber. I think this is a favorable matchup for McKee. It's part of this lightweight tournament that's going on right now. That sits at the top. And then in the co-main, you've got a flyweight division, flyweight championship. And in doing so, like, they've got Horiguchi fighting for it, which is the perfect fighter for this card. Someone who's fought for Rizin, fought for Bellator. I fought UFC as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
for a while. For a while, he was in the UFC. Yeah, 7-1 record in the UFC.
He's he's really, really talented.
He was just undersized because he was been fighting a bantamweight, fighting against guys like Pettis and Patchy Mix, who's bloody huge for bantamweight and for basically a flyweight to be fighting him. Yeah, he should be on this card. Horiguchi is perfectly matched. Taking on Makoto Shinryu, not someone who's as familiar for US fans, but he is there for the Asian market. Competed in Rizin and Deep. I think Deep's a Korean-based promotion. I don't know, Japan maybe. I'm not sure. I remember there's a lot of fighters from the Road to UFC card had come from Deep. So it's a good, like, regional level promotion. Yeah, those are a solid 2 headlining fights. Regardless of what you say, they're ones that I think appeal to both audiences. And it's the right sort of moves that promotions like Bellator and Rizin should be doing.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of work together. I think it always is in combat sports. I think you can put on a better show, and it's like, if you can't beat him, join him, kind of thing. In terms of, with your opposition, if it's like, if you're going against the UFC, then you got to try something different. Like last time, I just like Rizin seemed to get a little bit of the short end of the stick, and then just got all their fighters smashed. But I suppose they're not they're not as big a promotion, so they've kind of got to deal with that. But I think we were also talking about before is that this is on a tape delay, like it was last time, when I think people had issues with. And I just think tape delays are so it's 2023, we can't get a live stream going, because it's like, if you're going to put something on like this, at least put it on live so your biggest target audience can view it. Really, it seems a bit of a waste. Hopefully they'll get something sorted.
We're still quite a way off. July 31st. We'll find out more details as to what happens with that. And I'm sure one thing I will say for Bellator is they seem to, like, if people pressure them enough, they seem to do stuff. I remember, like, when there was massive outcry after MVP versus Douglas Lima 2, people were like, well, why are your non-title fight main events only 3 rounds? Shortly after, I think literally that night, it was announced that would no longer be the case. But yeah, also Kana Watanabe versus Vita Arteaga is also on that card. I think Watanabe is basically just fighting her way to like title contention again and again. She's one of the better female fighters in Bellator's women's divisions. I don't know, anything else you want to add to
not hugely. I just think it's such a big, like, it's such a rare event in MMA, and I think it's such a good idea. And I think Scott Coker, for all his faults, maybe it seems reasonably cool-headed and not much of, like, he doesn't hold a grudge, which I think is quite a good thing in a promoter. And I think you have such a good idea, you have such a great opportunity, and I think it was a New Year's Eve show last time, which obviously isn't going to be as big in the West. I think it's big over in Asia. That's kind of things that they do over there. Not a lot of people are going to watch it because they're out doing stuff. They've got the opportunity now, put on a good show, get some, just make the most of it, because it's such a great and rare opportunity. I just think it's like, as much of like I can be a critic of Bellator and PFL and the UFC, I am above everything an MMA fan, and I want to see good MMA shows. And I think it's like, they have a great opportunity, just don't waste it. Promote the fighters, get some good fights on here, some fun fighters. Let's just, and get a bloody live stream. Stop taping it. It's weird. It's like, there's no need. There's no need. I mean, I don't know if they have some there's a television rights because of its Rizin, but they should be able to, if it's like a tape delay in Japan.
Rizin are notorious for having issues like publicizing their fights for Western audiences. I know Jack Slack always complains about it, like being nearly impossible to watch a Rizin event. It's a shame because I mean I watched the Rizin event. They had like Satoshi versus Spike Carlisle and a few other fights like that, and the whole thing was a spectacle. It was a really brilliant watch, like the walkouts and everything. Fighting with the ring. The ropes. The ropes is a bit strange. I think from what I've heard,
it's cage in this. It is cage.
Yeah. So that's a good thing.
It was ring last time, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Got some criticism, I think.
Yeah.
That was one of the things. I was watching the Satoshi versus Spike Carlisle fight, and there's a sequence where Satoshi wraps up like a guillotine, but because Spike's like against the ropes, he's not able to like torque it essentially, and so Spike just sits there in a guillotine for like 2.5 minutes, just like good. Yeah, like it's not worth spending too much more time. I'm sure more news about this card will be announced, but it's worth addressing that, you know, it's a rare thing in modern MMA for the crossover events to take place. So it's definitely.
I do have one question though. If you were to make one crossover event between, and it can't have a UFC fighter, what fights would you pick if you could pick one?
So what? Any promotion?
Like PFL and Cage Warriors, or any, and it could be on. If you've got a few fights that you can think of.
You'll probably scoff at me, but the thing is, I would probably pick like some of my favorite fighters. Like I'm a huge Brendan Loughnane fan.
I like Brendan Loughnane. I'm not slag Brendan Loughnane.
No, I know, but you'd be like, oh, so many better fights. But like, give me Loughnane versus Patricky Pitbull. That'd be cool.
Banger.
That would be cool. In fact, that actually would be a
banger. See, I'm not slagging it off. Come on,
mate. I feel like I'm on the defensive here with you today. Every time I mention something, I see like a half a smirk on your face. Get me Cedric Doumbé versus Yaroslav Amosov.
I mean, but it does
Doumbé kills him. Sorry, Amosov kills him.
Yeah, I suppose. But if it stays on the feet, it might be interesting. But it's like
Amosov would just like pressure wrestle him.
Yeah,
like you see what he did against Logan Storley. I genuinely, I'm so high on Amosov. I think.
Yeah, I rate him a lot.
He's one of the best welterweights out there. Probably give Leon Edwards a hard time, just like stylistically. He's kind of a bit like Colby. Like in the constant chain wrestling and crazy cardio, not too much power. What about yourself?
Now I'm asking. I'm kind of drawing a blank, to be honest. I don't really know.
Oh, I'll tell you a good one. Christian Lee versus Usman Nurmagomedov. as well. That's a good fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm agreeing. I'm just trying. I'm thinking. I'm like, no, there's some great fights out there to be made. So,
I mean, honestly, one of the best non-UFC fights that they can make, and I think will probably happen the way this tournament going, is AJ McKee versus Usman Nurmagomedov. Like the way things are trending, that's a brilliant fight. They even have a good one: Patricky Mix versus Mighty Mouse.
I completely forgot about one actually.
Yeah, or Mighty Mouse versus Rafian Stotts as well. They're both very good fights. I mean, Sergio Pettis is in the mix as well. It's the lower weight class, isn't it? No mention of heavyweight like heavyweight.
No, because there's because the lower weight classes normally do have the better quality fighters. To be fair,
do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some good fights in the mix. I mean, you could even, because now with Patricky Pitbull dropping down to bantamweight to fight Pettis, you could even put him against Mighty Mouse. This podcast has gone way off the rails.
Yeah, it really has.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing for this one, but look, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.